Against the backdrop of the Red Chamber, there are numerous foreign powers and frequent conflicts. Due to the incompetence of the emperors in the Great Wei Dynasty, the political system became corrupt. And the protagonist Jiang Ye was sent to Da Liang as collateral in his childhood, in exchange for peace between Da Wei and Da Liang. However, in the 14th year of the Qiande reign of the Great Wei, the war between the Great Wei and the Great Liang spread, and due to the emergence of a fierce general from the Great Wei, the Great Liang collapsed. Da Liang wants to bring Proton Jiang Ye and the two armies to contain the main general of Da Wei. But Jiang Ye had already bribed the guards to escape back to Da Wei. After escaping back to the Great Wei, Jiang Ye was 18 years old, and the system of having multiple sons and blessings was activated, awakening memories of his past life. After Jiang Ye returned to the Great Wei, he received rewards from Jia Yuanchun, Li Wan, Qin Keqing, Li Wen, Li Qi, and was systematically rewarded with the Xuanjia Army, Xinlong, Jinui, Yuetian, Xichang Eunuch, Erdwa, Dugu Jiujian Dacheng, and Tianwen Sword. And was enthroned by Emperor Qiande, eliminating internal troubles and relieving external troubles. Expanding territory and playing with beauty, drinking and having fun, lying drunk on the knees of Beauty Feilu novel network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Ascension, First Great Court Meeting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the 14th year of the Qiande reign of the Great Wei Dynasty, Jiang Ye, the eldest son of the emperor, fled and was appointed as the crown prince in the 10th year of the reign of Emperor Da Liang. In August of the same year, Emperor Qiande abdicated to Crown Prince Jiang Ye on the grounds of physical discomfort. Prince Jiang Ye ascended the throne and established the reign title of Tian Shou. The next day, the Fengtian Palace of the Imperial Palace, the first grand court meeting of the new emperor, saw civil and military officials standing in the hall, dressed neatly and arranged in an orderly manner. At a height, Jiang Ye was dressed in a bright yellow dragon robe, wearing a crown and sitting on the dragon chair symbolizing supreme authority. In front of Jiang Ye, standing beside the dragon table, stood a young eunuch dressed in high-ranking eunuch attendants, holding a dust-free face and exuding a noble and elegant aura. Your Majesty, according to Honglu Temple, go to Da Liang to discuss the matter of peace. Da Liang proposed that if we want peace talks, we, Da Wei, must surrender to Da Liang, return our territory occupied by Da Wei, and cede 500 li of territory to Da Liang. We will compensate Da Liang with 30 million taels of silver, 200,000 pieces of brocade, and 2 million stones of grain and grass. In addition, it is necessary for me, Da Wei, to surrender the main generals Zhongcui Mao and Da Liang for disposal in this battle. At the beginning of the morning court, Honglu Temple officials immediately stood up and bowed to the towering Jiang Ye, reporting to him. What? Isn't it that Da Liang has lost his mind and gone crazy? What do they want to do? This is bullying me, Wei. Don't they know that this battle was won by my Great Wei? How dare they humiliate and extort me like this? Why do we need to negotiate peace with Da Liang when Da Wei wants such money and food? Your Majesty, I, the Great Wei, cannot agree to Da Liang's harsh and humiliating demands. Otherwise, I, the Great Wei, will not only suffer heavy losses, but even lose face. Yes, Your Majesty. If I agree to Da Liang's extortion, I'm afraid that Da Wei will not only lose the people's hearts but also be unable to resist Da Liang in the future. The words of the minister of Honglu Temple fell, and both the civil and military officials of the entire court were shocked. Subsequently, the originally solemn and quiet Fengtian Hall immediately became noisy and chaotic. Many ministers angrily denounced Da Liang for humiliating and extorting him. Some ministers also repeatedly petitioned Jiang Ye, stating that they could not agree to such an unreasonable humiliation from Da Liang. The war between Da Wei and Da Liang was initially at a disadvantage for Da Wei. Later, due to consecutive defeats, the Great Wei changed to a new general. And this commander not only possesses extremely high talents in military and strategic aspects. He has extremely high attainments in military governance. So after replacing this chief general, Da Wei not only regained lost territory, but also entered the territory of Da Liang. When Jiang Ye fled back from Da Liang, he had already imagined from the battlefield that Da Liang would inevitably use his proton to the front line as a bargaining chip to contain this main general. So he bribed the guards in advance and fled back all the way. And this main general is Zhongcui Mao, who is important to Da Liang. Why did Da Wei take the initiative to negotiate peace with Da Liang when he was in an advantage now? It was all because Da Wei's treasury was empty and unable to continue supplying the logistics of the frontline army. Gradually unable to sustain this war. On the contrary, in Da Liang, what the country needs most for prosperity and strength is money and food. So this battle ended in a stalemate. It's just surprising that Da Liang didn't take this opportunity to accept it and dared to make Da Wei surrender, extorting and blackmailing him like this. How could the officials of such a great Wei bear it? Your Majesty, there is room for negotiation on this matter. As long as I sincerely negotiate with Da Wei, Da Liang will definitely agree. Amidst the indignation of civil and military officials, Mei Liangxin, the deputy minister of the cabinet, stood up and bowed to Jiang Ye to report. Listening to the proposal of Mei Liangxin, the second assistant of the cabinet, the angry civil and military officials fell silent. Many officials looked indignant and wanted to argue, but were afraid of offending the second deputy of the cabinet, Mei Liangxin, and dared not speak up. There were also officials who were not afraid of offending Mei Liangxin, but wanted to leave but were interrupted by Jiang Ye's words. Jokes. I have never heard of a victorious country surrendering to a defeated country from ancient times to the present day, and even offering compensation for ceding territory to the defeated country. I have never heard of it before. The victorious country has been chasing after the defeated country's buttocks and shamelessly licking their buttocks to seek peace talks. This matter is simply a matter of sliding the world. If I really did this, then I'm afraid I'm not far from extinction. Jiang Ye's already uncontrollable anger erupted completely over the proposal of Mei Liangxin, the second assistant to the cabinet. Then he pointed at Mei Liangxin and angrily rebuked him with a pun. Listening to Jiang Ye's angry rebuke, many officials showed a carefree expression on their faces, only feeling that the emperor's words had reached the depths of their hearts. Mei Liangxin's face, pointed at and scolded by Jiang Ye, was gloomy and difficult to see the extreme. I dare not refute in front of civil and military officials, holding back my anger. But my heart is about to explode with anger. What does it mean that the victorious country pursues the defeated country's buttocks and shamelessly licks the defeated country's buttocks to seek peace? Isn't that just cursing him? While angry, Mei Liangxin secretly regretted it in his heart. Regret supporting Jiang Ye as the crown prince and ascending to the throne. Due to his leadership in the political party and the fact that Jiang Ye is the eldest son of the emperor, since ancient times, the officials who supported Jiang Ye by establishing a chief but not a young and Jiang Ye serving as collateral for the Great Wei in Da Liang for 10 years and exchanging for 10 years of peace for the Great Wei have different purposes. The party led by him believes that Jiang Ye has been in the Liang dynasty for 10 years and has no foundation in the Wei dynasty. Secondly, Jiang Ye suffered from humiliation during his 10-year tenure as a hostage in Da Liang, becoming a cowardly and incompetent person. So only when Jiang Ye ascends the throne can they better control him, thereby enabling them to obtain greater benefits. But now Jiang Ye's attitude shows him that he is not a cowardly and incompetent person. On the contrary, he is still a powerful monarch. So this also made him feel a sense of suffocation when he was pecked in the eye by an eagle and lifted a stone to hit his own foot. Since Da Liang does not want peace talks, from my perspective, there is no need for Da Wei to propose any peace talks or focus on peace talks. Starting from today, I, Da Wei, will focus all my thoughts on how to defeat Da Liang. He wants to fight, so I, Da Wei, will accompany them to fight. We fought until we achieved complete victory, and he came to our Great Wei to pray for peace. He didn't extort me, Da Wei, from Da Liang. When Da Liang takes the initiative to seek peace with me, Da Wei, then we will use the conditions offered by Da Liang as a base to increase them tenfold and ask Da Liang to compensate me. Even if it's 1 penny less, I, Wei, cannot stop the war with them. Isn't he still asking me, Da Wei, to cede 500 miles of land? Then I, Da Wei, will let Da Liang cede 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, 3,000 miles of land. Mei Liangxin was left speechless by Jiang Ye's words, and Jiang Ye did not give Mei Liangxin a chance. Continuing to speak, he expressed his own meaning. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Borrowing money, borrowing food, and fighting to the death against Da Liang. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. When it came to the end, especially when he said that he wanted to cut the land for thousands of miles, 2,000 miles, and 3,000 miles, Jiang Ye's deep voice grew louder and louder. I don't know if it's because Jiang Ye's voice is loud, or because his words are too shocking. So all civil and military officials were intimidated. Your Majesty, we must not continue to fight against the Great Liang anymore, as our Great Wei treasury is empty. If we continue to fight like this, no matter how powerful our heavenly army is, we are afraid that in the end, our Great Wei will also be completely dragged down by this war. After a long time, the Minister of Revenue regained his senses and quickly stood out to salute Jiang Ye. Humph. Can a living person still hold their urine to death? Loyal and obedient uncle. The Minister of Revenue issued a petition to dissuade Jiang Ye, and many ministers were also prepared to speak up to dissuade him. But before they could leave, Jiang Ye let out a cold snort and said a word to the Minister of Revenue before calling out to the loyal and obedient prince who was standing at the top of the ranks. I am here. Listening to Jiang Ye calling himself, Prince Zhongcui quickly set out to salute Jiang Ye and respond. Spread my decree and declare it to the world. From now on, the court borrowed grain and money from the world's powerful, gentry, and merchants due to the war with Da Liang. Those who are willing to borrow money and grain will be refunded 3 times their capital and interest by the court afterwards. Nowadays, although the court of the Great Wei Dynasty has no money or food, the Great Liang has plenty. As long as the war is completely won, the court will only give more, and they will definitely have to give 1.5 pennies, and the matter of collecting donations is the responsibility of Uncle Zhongcui, you. When the time comes, you will have to clear all the donations one by one and register them with me. After Prince Zhongcui was appointed, Jiang Ye first issued a decree. Then he solemnly confessed to the loyal and obedient prince. Yes, I lead the order. Listening to Jiang Ye's words, all civil and military officials were shocked. Even Prince Zhongcui remained frozen in place. Because they all saw that the emperor had no intention of armistice with the Great Liang, and the Great Liang, which had been fighting for decades, could not recover its vitality. This has also made many civil and military ministers secretly doubt whether Jiang Ye's persistent confrontation with Da Liang is mixed with a grudge. After all, they all know that the emperor's 10 years in Da Liang were not easy. However, it must be pointed out that the emperor's method is truly an impeccable and superior strategy. Because the court of the Great Wei Dynasty currently does not have money and food, and even the common people of the Great Wei can be said to be extremely poor. But the problem is that the tycoons, gentry, and merchants of the Great Wei were not lacking in money and food the most. Make these tycoons, gentry, and businessmen donate with triple returns. In addition, with an advantage on the battlefield of the Great Wei, they all fought within the territory of Da Liang. In this way, those tycoons, gentry, and wealthy businessmen must empty their families to support this great war. Not to mention those tycoons, gentry, and wealthy businessmen, they all have abnormal heart movements and their minds are starting to liven up. The emperor only demanded 10 times the ceasefire demand from Da Liang to compensate Da Wei, and now he has borrowed so much money and food from the world, and has also provided 3 times higher profits. I'm afraid that when the time comes, Da Liang will grit his teeth and dare not stop fighting. But none of them saw through Jiang Ye's deeper meaning. Jiang Ye's deeper meaning is that when the time comes, the powerful, gentry, and wealthy businessmen cannot resist the temptation of high returns and donate all their money and food. So the last thing they want to lose in this war is them. That is to say, at that time, the Great Wei would reach the point of unity and the whole nation fighting together. If anyone were to cause trouble at this time, it would be the common enemy of the world's powerful, gentry, and wealthy businessmen. In such a state, even with the intervention of other countries, it would be difficult for Da Wei not to win this battle. Of course, Da Liang can also emulate Da Wei. But if Da Liang imitates Da Wei, it is just a superficial imitation. Because Da Wei's actions were forced by Da Liang. When the whole world of Great Wei learned of the extortion by the Great Liang, the people of Great Wei and people from all walks of life would also unite against each other due to the extortion by the Great Liang. Secondly, the Great Wei gained an advantage on the battlefield, allowing the powerful, gentry, and wealthy merchants to see high investment returns and low investment risks. And what about the main beam? War is in a weak position, and even if they imitate it, they cannot achieve a deeper meaning for Jiang Ye. I am afraid that even the powerful, gentry, and wealthy merchants of the Great Liang dynasty will not be willing to give up their own money and grain to support the court. Because in the eyes of the powerful officials, gentry, and wealthy merchants in the Great Liang dynasty, if they donate their money and food, there is a great chance that their money and food will be compensated to the Great Wei. At that time, not only will they not receive any return, but their money and food will even be wasted. Your Majesty, I wonder how much money and food we need to collect. After Prince Zhongcui received the order, he quickly thought of a crucial point and said to Jiang Ye with suppressed excitement. Take as much as you have. Anyway, the main beam will come out for us in the end. If there is an excess of money and grain, it will be used for local construction and disaster relief needs. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Ye spoke to Prince Zhongcui. As soon as these words were spoken, the civil and military officials who were still digesting Jiang Ye's words couldn't help but feel their spirits once again. The whole person suddenly became enlightened. Excited in my heart, I couldn't help but think that this was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. No, it was just a strategy of 3 birds with 1 stone. Now that Da Liang does not agree to make peace, the emperor's strategy is to use the war reparations given by Da Liang to Da Wei in advance for Da Wei's fight against Da Liang, for the construction of Da Wei's country and the people of Da Wei. And this also solved the dilemma of the empty treasury of the Great Wei, the inability to sustain war, the inability to build the country, and the inability to support the people. Your Majesty, it is holy and wise. In awe of the civil and military officials, the loyal and obedient prince bowed and praised Jiang Ye with sincerity. Your Majesty, it is holy and wise. With Prince Zhongcui leading the way, civil and military officials also turned to worship Jiang Ye. What no one noticed was that Mei Liangxin, along with his party in the Prince of Beijing, didn't look very good on their faces. In passing on my decree, Zheng Kaimao was promoted to the position of Marshal of the Southern Expedition and granted ownership during the Battle of Da Liang. May I not accept your orders outside, recruit 150000 troops from various southern regions to join forces on the front line, waiting for the Commander.In. Chief of the Southern Expeditionary Army. I hereby order the Commander-in-Chief of the Ba Shang Camp, Niu Jizong, to lead a force of 50,000 troops from the Ba Shang Camp to move southward to the front line of the conflict between Wei and Da Liang, and to obey the command of the Southern Expeditionary General. Prince Teng, listen to the decree. Faced with the praise of the civil and military officials, Jiang Ye did not show humility in politeness towards them, but continued to speak and constantly deliver orders. And the civil and military officials who had not yet calmed down in their hearts heard the successive imperial edicts issued by Jiang Ye. Shocked again. Okay, that's really what they thought. They just ascended the throne. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Mobilize all stationed troops to support the front line. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. They, the newly crowned emperor, really want to fight back with Da Liang. Nowadays, Zhongcui Mao leads an army of 170,000 to fight against Da Liang. Of course, these 170,000 soldiers were not injured during the battle with Da Liang, or were lightly injured and still in combat. Now we are recruiting and dispatching 200,000 troops, and the number of troops fighting between Wei and Liang is as high as 37,000. A military force of 37 soldiers is considered an unbeatable battle even in the game of great powers. If Da Liang were to dispatch an equal number of troops, the number of participating troops in this war between the two countries would exceed 1 million. After all, when the army goes to war, it's not just soldiers. In addition to the soldiers in battle, there are also countless logistics personnel and civilian laborers. I am here. In the ranks of military officials, Wang Zidong, the third-rank military governor of the capital camp, listened to Jiang Ye call him and quickly stepped out to bow to him in response. After collecting supplies, Prince Zhongcui personally led the Kyoto army to escort supplies to the front line. Jiang Ye's face remained expressionless, but his voice was unusually serious as he issued an edict to Wang Zidong. I obey the order. Upon hearing Jiang Ye's instructions, Wang Zidong was taken aback for a moment. But I quickly bowed and received the order. Your Majesty, absolutely not. The Bashang camp is the last line of defense against external enemies in the north of the imperial capital, Shenzhen. And Kyoto camp is stationed in important areas of the capital, specifically responsible for guarding the peace of the capital. So don't move lightly between the Bashang camp and the Kyoto camp. After Wang Zidong received the order, Prince Beijing's eyes lit up, while the Minister of War became anxious. The Minister of War quickly stepped out to bow and persuade Jiang Ye. No need, I naturally have some reason to do so. Your military department only needs to work hard to make swords, spears, bows and arrows, armor, military uniforms, boots, and cotton jackets for me, and at the same time, ensure the quality for me while producing. Now the Ministry of War has no money. After Prince Zhongcui collects donations, we will allocate funds to your Ministry of War. If your Ministry of War craftsmen are currently short of manpower, they will be transferred from the Ministry of War. The Ministry of War craftsmen will fully cooperate with the Ministry of War craftsmen during wartime. Moreover, if this is not enough, then gather craftsmen from the public to hire. I have only one requirement, that your military department should not only meet all the military needs during wartime, but also meet the needs of other armies in our Great Wei. Then there will be a portion of the wealthy as reserves. Jiang Ye did not care about the obstruction of the Minister of War, but instead issued orders to the Minister of War and the Minister of Works. An important task was entrusted to the Minister of War. Jiang Ye also had his own considerations for dispatching the Bashang Daing and the Kyoto Daing to guard the capital. Firstly, both the Bashang camp and the Kyoto camp belong to the elite of the Wei army. Secondly, the Kyoto camp escorts food and military expenses to the front line, so Jiang Ye can rest assured. As for the safety of important areas in the capital, Jiang Ye naturally has a backup plan. Because Jiang Ye has a summoning card for General Su Chu and a summoning card for 50,000 Xuanjia Army iron cavalry in his personal space. Not to mention how strong General Su Chu is. Just say that the Xuanjia Army can be considered as a special forces force for everyone. You should know that Xuanjia Army is the ace and elite of the Tang Army. And the Tang Army was so strong that it had a huge number of troops, but they liked and were best at fighting more with less. And it's still elite with fewer hits. The most brilliant achievement of the Tang Army was the annihilation of a small country with just a few thousand soldiers. In addition, Wei Gao, a famous general of the Middle Tang dynasty, subdued Nanzhao, Dongman, and Sichuan with just a burst of force from Sichuan, completely annihilating the Tubo Middle Road and the two regimental envoys of Lacheng in Qinghai, annihilating 100,000 elite Tubo troops. It can be said that the Tang army achieved countless victories with fewer troops. This also indicates the prosperous era of the Tang dynasty, and it is not just a boast that Wan Bang came to congratulate. And the Xuanjia Army, which can serve as the elite and ace army of the Tang dynasty, is even stronger. Firstly, the Xuanjia Army is well equipped, with each Xuanjia Army equipped with 3 excellent war horses. Each warhorse is equipped with iron and black armor tailored to its size, covering its entire body. Secondly, each Xuanjia Army wore 2 sets of armor, with one inner armor sewn from cowhide soaked in tung oil, lightweight and tough. The outer armor is made of Xian iron armor, which is pitch black in color, lightweight, easy to move, but has amazing defense, making it invincible. The Xuanjia Army can be called invincible in defense. Of course, if encountering a massive and infinite Hercules smashing them with a heavy hammer, that's a different story. After all, heavy blunt weapons are often the nemesis of hard armor that is difficult to damage with swords. Not to mention that there are not many powerful warriors who can use blunt weapons to break through the armor defense of the Xuanjia Army, nor to mention that the Xuanjia Army also has a layer of inner armor protection. The strength of the Xuanjia Army is not small. Each Xuanjia Army was selected from hundreds of thousands of elite Tang soldiers. It can be said that each Xuanjia Army not only has a strong and tall physique, sufficient endurance, but also exceptional agility. Moreover, each Xuanjia Army is equipped with a Tang horizontal sword that cuts iron like mud, as well as a small circular shield and a horse spear that is even more known as the nemesis of armor than blunt weapons. Horse spears are usually longer than long spears, and their appearance is somewhat similar to that of a spear. The spear has a length of 50.60 centimeters and a sharp tip with strong penetration. Moreover, the blade on both sides of the spear is also very aggressive. It can be said that horse spears are more lethal to armor than blunt weapons. Especially when cooperating with cavalry to charge, the killing power of the horse spear is greater. But Ma Shua is very strict with forging materials and processes, coupled with high forging costs. So Ma Shua is not commonly seen on the battlefield. And the number of Xuanjia soldiers in the Tang dynasty was not many, only a few thousand. But these thousands of people have achieved a record of annihilating thousands of enemies and capturing over 50,000 prisoners. And this is just one of the shining achievements of the Xuanjia Army. In addition, the Xuanjia Army is not only skilled archers, but also capable of riding on horses, accurately shooting and killing enemies who are also moving rapidly while galloping and bumping under their crotch. The Xuanjia Army is also equipped with crossbows that can shoot 200 steps away. Don't be fooled by the fact that 200 steps is not far at first glance. You should know that Lu Bu only took 150 steps when shooting a halberd from the gate. This shows how powerful a crossbow that can shoot 200 steps is. Just from the equipment configuration alone, you can see how powerful the Xuanjia Army is. And this is not just the individual combat ability and excellent teamwork ability of the Xuanjia Army. With the Xuanjia Army in hand and a fearless General Su Chu leading the way, even if there were 500,000 troops attacking the capital, he would have to worry about those 500,000 troops. Of course, as for why he has such a powerful Xuanjia army and is still 50,000 Xuanjia soldiers, plus a member of the Su Chu fierce general. But they don't directly summon them to join the battlefield and attack Da Liang. That's naturally because Xuanjia Army and Su Chu are his trump cards. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Kaienke, continuously planned. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Just like the landlord, which one directly put rocket. Furthermore, it is not premature to release the Xuanjia army, and he can also see if there are any disloyal people jumping out to rebel after transferring a part of the Kyoto camp army. For example, in the original work of the Red Chamber, the Prince Jing of Beijing, who tried to win over Sun Gui and was at odds with Prince Zhongcui, eventually rebelled. Secondly, besides the external enemy of Da Liang, the Great Wei also had other strong enemies. Before he had any other trumps, the later the Xuanjia Army appeared, the more advantageous it was for him. Finally, the Xuanjia Army had a force of 50,000, and each Xuanjia Army was equipped with 3 excellent war horses. As long as the Xuanjia Army is summoned, the 50,000 Xuanjia Army and 150,000 warhorses will eat and chew, and the logistics troops will be a huge expense. I will obey your orders. The Minister of War, listening to Jiang Ye's instructions, choked and didn't know how to answer. He was just persuading Jiang Ye not to transfer the army guarding the capital. But he didn't know how to answer Jiang Ye's answer. After all, Emperor Jiang Ye has already said that the emperor has his own plans. So what else can he say as a vassal? So for the important task entrusted to him by Jiang Ye, he could only grit his teeth and respond. According to tradition, when the new emperor ascends the throne, he should grant amnesty to the world. This is my decree that all taxes in the Great Wei Dynasty will be reduced to the taxes set by Emperor Taizu during the founding period of the Great Wei Dynasty. And from now on, I, the Great Wei, will never increase taxes and abolish all exorbitant taxes and levies. Anyone who increases taxes and levies exorbitant taxes without authorization shall be punished and exterminated according to the crime of rebellion. At the same time, the Ministry of Revenue is preparing to open Anka. This time, the number of students admitted to the Anka program has increased by 50%, ranging from being young students to becoming successful candidates. After receiving the edict from the Minister of War, Jiang Ye recounted his amnesty for the world after ascending to the throne. He worked as a character in Da Liang for 10 years, but had no foundation in Wei. Although he also secretly wooed many civil and military ministers during the 2 months he returned. When he returned to the capital city, he received the loyalty of Zhongcui. But his foundation is still too shallow. In order to stabilize the throne, he must win the hearts of the people and join the hearts of people from all walks of life to revitalize the Great Wei. Now that the Great Wei has declined, the people are struggling to make a living. In addition, with internal and external troubles and corrupt officials rampant, if he doesn't take the next dose of medicine. Given the current situation of the Great Wei, it can only last for about 20.30 years at most. And now, the war between the Wei and Da Liang has provided him with a quick solution. Of course, this will also benefit from the humiliation and extortion of Da Wei by Da Liang. Firstly, in the war, Da Liang did not negotiate a peace truce with Da Wei and wanted to bring down Da Wei with a heavy foundation. Then, by humiliating and extorting Da Wei, he can take this opportunity to rally the already scattered public sentiment of Da Wei in the shortest possible time and transfer internal conflicts. Secondly, it also made him determined to use high interest rates in the battle against Da Liang to induce the powerful Wei dynasty, local gentry, and wealthy merchants to donate money and food. He did not set an upper limit on the conditions of inducing wealthy individuals, gentry, and businessmen to donate. In this way, he was not only able to raise the money and food needed for war in the shortest possible time, but also had the money and food to govern the decaying Great Wei. And he can also maximize his benefits by doing so, because all the money and food used during this period will be given to him. In such a high-intensity and sustained war, he can still bring down hundreds of thousands of low morale and poorly disciplined troops to train them into strong armies. And this strong army will not only be highly loyal to him, but can even rely on the military's combat power and achievements to deter petty criminals in the future, allowing him to better reorganize all the armies of Great Wei. However, the most important thing is that after the amnesty of the world, he was able to capture the hearts of countless tycoons, gentry, wealthy merchants, common people, and intellectuals. Not to mention the powerful, gentry, and wealthy businessmen because of how much profit they have gained. It is said that the people who are burdened with complex and heavy taxes, have their wives and children scattered under pressure, and their families have fallen and they cannot breathe. When they learn that he has reduced taxes, eliminated exorbitant taxes, and even never increased taxes, it is imaginable that they will know the people will appreciate him more, support him more, and cannot do without him as a good emperor. After the reduction of taxes on the people and the abolition of exorbitant taxes and levies, the court's taxes will inevitably be significantly reduced. But this decrease is not permanent. Because after the people settled down, he reorganized the government and resolved the issue of land consolidation. This downward tax dynasty will see an explosive increase in taxes. During this period, the money and food needed by the country will also come from the powerful, gentry, wealthy merchants, and the Great Liang. So when it comes to tax reduction and exemption, it can be imagined how many people will support him. No one can shake his position and authority. As for half of Enkodo's admissions, I can imagine how fanatical and grateful the readers around the world would be upon hearing this news, and how much they would love him. It should be noted that the number of scholars who participated in the imperial examination in the Great Wei Dynasty alone exceeded 1 million. The imperial examination is held every 3 years, and the number of students admitted each time is pitifully small compared to the million students who participated in the examination. In addition, the millions of students who participated in the imperial examination were at least 70.8% from humble backgrounds. The children of humble families who have been in poverty for 10 years cannot receive education comparable to those of wealthy families. It can be imagined how difficult it is for those students from humble backgrounds who have weak foundations, lack confidence, and repeatedly failed the imperial examinations to succeed in high school. It is precisely because of this that there are always different types of people in each imperial examination. Some are energetic young men, some are middle-aged, and some are elderly people with graying temples. In this way, Jiang Ye directly expanded half of the admission quota in the amnesty program. Can you imagine how excited those readers are? Especially for those with weak foundations, lack of confidence, and repeated failures, their hearts become increasingly anxious. Although this opportunity is only once, and they may not necessarily be able to pass. But they will all remember Jiang Ye's kindness. And this kindness will also make them a staunch supporter of Jiang Ye. Even they wouldn't say a bad word about Jiang Ye to anyone. Just like the people who have been exempted from taxes. In addition, Jiang Ye's expansion of half of the number of admissions to Anka this time naturally aims to win the hearts of the people and make the vast majority of people in Wei become his staunch supporters, so that his words can be spoken in Wei without hesitation. That is why he needs a large number of reserve officials. After Da Liang surrendered, he will inevitably occupy at least 1,000 miles of land in Da Liang's territory. After all, what he just said was not angry words. So he will definitely need a group of officials to go to the new place to serve and manage the place. Secondly, he will soon rectify the administration of officials. And rectifying the governance of officials will inevitably result in countless corrupt officials being killed. Does that mean he needs a large number of reserve personnel? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. The demolition of death row criminals with continuous planning. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Your Majesty, you must not do it. Now my annual tax in the Great Wei Dynasty is already very low. If it is easy to reduce taxes and abolish exorbitant taxes, then I'm afraid the taxes of my Great Wei will be greatly reduced again next year. After Jiang Ye's decree was issued, the Minister of Revenue couldn't help but bow down and advise him. Yes, Your Majesty. The imperial examination system has been passed down for thousands of years, but there has never been such a change. I hope Your Majesty will not arbitrarily change the system and leave a bad example for future generations. Yes, Your Majesty, the imperial examination is the foundation of the country. It can change its system at will. As the Minister of Revenue spoke up to stop him, the Minister of Rights and the left Assistant Minister of Rights quickly stepped forward and bowed to Jiang Ye, urging him to stop. The fundamental reason for the annual decrease in taxes in the Great Wei Dynasty is that the people are unable to obtain stability, land consolidation, so we want to increase taxes while reducing the pressure on the people. Only light taxation can help the people settle down. As for next year's taxation, there is no need to worry for now. Because if there are no mistakes with this donation, it will be enough for me to use it during this period. Faced with the obstruction of the Minister of Revenue, Jiang Ye calmly said to the Minister of Revenue. Listening to Jiang Ye's words, the civil and military officials couldn't help but be shocked again. They suspect that Jiang Ye really has no intention of stopping the war with Da Liang. How much money and food do you want to get from Da Liang? It's not too much to say that the annual tax revenue from Da Liang was obtained from Da Wei. The problem is that Jiang Ye wants the taxes of the next year from Da Wei to be used for donations. And donations need to be returned 3 times to the donors. Moreover, the imperial examination is indeed a national foundation and cannot be easily changed. But since the imperial examination can become the foundation of the country, the significance of its existence is to select talents for the country. How many students from humble backgrounds participate in the imperial examination every year in the Wei dynasty? They have been studying hard for 10 years, but every time they take the imperial examination, they are forced to empty their pockets and go to take the exam outdoors. It's okay to pass the exam like this, but what if you don't? Not passing the exam was a waste of suffering and exhaustion, and Bai Benbo spent all the money his parents had saved and his wife and children lived frugally. So who knows the hardships of scholars from humble families all over the world, who knows their feelings after falling behind, but who knows they don't have the courage to go home and meet their parents, wives, and children. When I first ascended the throne, I was worried about the students of the world. But they are also unable to bear the cost of studying and taking the imperial examination for them. The only thing I can do is to make a special exception for them once when I grant amnesty to the world after ascending the throne and establish an imperial examination. Give them a chance to increase their high school. Give them a chance to be loyal to their country and return to their hometowns in golden clothes to honor their ancestors. At the moment when the Minister of Revenue was stunned, Jiang Ye once again spoke to the Minister of Rights, the left Assistant Minister of Rights, and even the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty, showing empathy and compassion. Plush, Your Majesty's holy virtue. Your Majesty's holy virtue. Upon hearing Jiang Ye's emotionally charged words, Man Chaowen and Wu couldn't help but be stunned. Many civil and military ministers from humble backgrounds shed tears and recalled the hardships of the past. Thinking about the hardships and tiredness I have experienced, the expectations and fatigue of my family. Thinking of all this, they choked up and knelt down in front of Jiang Ye, shouting holy virtues. And this scene made Mei Liangxin and his followers look even worse. Even many officials from humble backgrounds in the Linglu party couldn't help but shed tears and sighs like other ministers. The last edict of this morning's court is that any executed prisoner or exiled prisoner of the Great Wei Dynasty who is willing to charge the army can apply for it on their own. There is no limit on the number of people, and those who have made contributions can be exempted from capital punishment, and corresponding rewards can also be given based on their contributions. I am not stingy with rewards for death row inmates and exiles, fearing that they may not have the courage or ability to obtain rewards. Looking at the civil and military officials who were kneeling and worshipping, as well as some civil and military ministers from wealthy backgrounds who also followed in praising and worshipping, Jiang Ye did not show them any courtesy and asked them to stand up. But instead, he spoke harshly to them again and issued a decree. Your Majesty, this. Listening to Jiang Ye's will, the civil and military officials who had originally knelt down and moved Jiang Ye's virtue were once again shocked by Jiang Ye's words. This is to send executed and exiled prisoners to the military. Not to mention that these people are difficult to control. Let's just say that if these damn people can really be used for war, how powerful they would have to erupt. Step back. Without waiting for someone to refute, Jiang Ye stood up and brushed his sleeves before leaving. Only left behind the civil and military officials who had not yet regained their senses. Until Jiang Ye left, when the officials bowed and bid farewell to him, many officials still opened their mouths to try to stop him. But when I looked up, there was nowhere else to see Jiang Ye's figure. Hua Tian, arrange for someone to spread out the events of today's morning court, as well as every word and sentence I said. After leaving the Fengtian Hall, Jiang Ye kept walking. Command to the closely following eunuch Yu Hua Tian behind him. I obey your orders. Listening to Jiang Ye's instructions, Yu Yuanchun immediately responded. In front of the Fengtian Hall, various civil and military officials gathered in groups of 3 to 5 to discuss the affairs of today's court. Mr. Zhang, we have indeed not misread your Majesty today. Your Majesty's move can be said to have solved the internal and external troubles of our Great Wei, as well as the financial crisis, in one fell swoop. Your Majesty was a bit decisive, but His Majesty's decisiveness also makes sense. Without reason, we will definitely not stop the proposed minister. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Zhongqing in the Great Wei Dynasty. What Lord Lu said is exactly what the lower officials are worried about. Your Majesty may seem decisive and resourceful, but in reality, some of your swords have gone astray. A group of officials who insisted on establishing the eldest son rather than the youngest, and also believed that Jiang Ye, the eldest son of the emperor, had contributed to the Great Wei and suffered a lot for the Great Wei, gathered around Zhang Guangming, the head of the cabinet, to express their opinions. From the performance of His Majesty today, it can be seen that he is a powerful, independent, strategic, and seemingly ruthless emperor who loves the people like a child. Being able to receive your Majesty is a blessing for me in the Great Wei Dynasty. My Wei Dynasty's Zhongqing is just around the corner, so you must assist your Majesty well. But the Linglu party rulers need to be more cautious. It has not been a year or two since the Linglu party wanted to dominate the court and eliminate dissidents. I don't know how many Linglu party members there are in the local government. This time they were able to stand on the same front line as us and support your Majesty's ascension to the throne, probably because they felt that your Majesty had no foundation in our Great Wei, and that he had suffered humiliation and lacked courage after 10 years of serving as a hostage in Da Liang. Only in this way can they lure the young master and fulfill their ambition of forming a clique for personal gain and dominating the court. Now your Majesty is wise, their plan has been shattered. So I believe that the Linglu party will inevitably take action, and they absolutely cannot watch His Majesty rise. Listening to the words of the ministers surrounding him, the head of the cabinet, Zhang Guangming, responded to the ministers with a smile. However, when it comes to the Linglu party led by Mei Liangxin, the second deputy of the cabinet, Zhang Guangming's face gradually became solemn. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Division and Faction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I understand, officials. I hope you can rest assured, even though our numbers cannot match those of the Linglu party. But we have been fighting with the Linglu party for so many years, and we absolutely cannot watch them do anything unfavorable to your Majesty. Yes, Wei has been weak for so long, and I finally hope to find a wise ruler. How could this make the Spirit Deer party harm us in the dark? The Linglu party has been doing those dirty things in recent years. If it weren't for the Emperor. It's just that. As long as we keep an eye on the Spirit Deer party, your Majesty's Holy Spirit Deer party will not be rampant for long. Zhang Guangming's words made the ministers surrounding him speak up and promise to respond. Many ministers also showed signs of indignation on their faces. However, when mentioning the Emperor, all the ministers who were originally angry fell silent. And the minister who mentioned the Emperor only sighed with hesitation. When Emperor Taishang ascended the throne, Great Wei was still a powerful country. At that time, the Wei army was strong and the horses were strong, and the country was prosperous and the people were strong. But Emperor Tai is too capable of making. The Supreme Emperor prefers obedience and cannot listen to harsh advice. In addition, the Emperor also enjoyed exploring immortals and paths, as well as grand tours of famous scenic spots and historical sites, as well as immortal mountains and blessed areas. After 4 years of ascending the throne, Emperor Taishang dismissed many loyal officials and generals, promoted many bearded and horseback riding enthusiasts. Moreover, during these 4 years, the Supreme Emperor ignored the court and marched around with tens of thousands of imperial guards, over 5,000 ceremonial guards, thousands of palace maids, and thousands of eunuchs for 4 years. In addition, the emperor also loved extravagance and waste, and wherever he went, wherever he liked it, he would vigorously build palaces. And the things used during the trip are all the best in the world. So in the 4th year of the Qiande reign, Emperor Taizu had already defeated all the assets left by Emperor Taizu. At that time, Da Wei was defeated by Da Liang, and Jiang Ye went to Da Liang as a hostage. Afterwards, Emperor Qiande did not repent and instead became even more severe. Until now, under the rule of Emperor Qiande, the Great Wei had already accumulated weakness, declined, and corrupt officials were rampant. Sir. Compared to the excited and indignant courtiers on the side of Zhang Guangming, the head of the cabinet, there are more officials gathered on the side of the cabinet's deputy, Mei Liangxin. However, the officials gathered on the side of the cabinet's secondary aides each had a heavy expression on their faces. Let's talk about it later. Mei Liangxin scanned the ministers surrounding him, his face darkened, and after a low sentence, he took the lead in leaving. The ministers surrounding Mei Liangxin couldn't help but stare at each other and could only silently catch up. Heart-nourishing hall, Your Majesty, the matter has been resolved. After Yuanchun hurriedly entered the heart-nourishing hall, he arrived in front of Jiang Ye, who was receiving Jia Yuanchun's massage of the temples on the soft couch in the heart-nourishing hall, and bowed to report. Well, you are arranging for someone to deliver a message to Zhongcui Mao. Tell Zhongcui Mao that my Great Wei is currently short of money and food. But for the sake of dignity, in order to gain more benefits, and not to suffer serious losses or even damage one's vitality in this war, leading to the decline of national strength. So I hereby order him to order the army to search for all available supplies in the area occupied by our Great Wei. The looted grain is used for the needs of the army, 50% of the looted money is used to reward the army, and the remaining 50% is transported back to the capital. In addition, the death row inmates and exiles I assigned to him are all extremely vicious individuals. At that time, he will form a separate army, and do not overly constrain this army as long as they obey orders. Also, after the formation of this army, good wine and meat are provided daily. Wait for them to attack the city or send them up in times of heavy losses. Don't be stingy with rewards even if they have made contributions. I don't want them to return to the Great Wei alive. Jiang Ye raised his hand slightly, and Jia Yuanchun stopped. Later, Jiang Ye spoke up and explained to Yuanchun. Yes, I obey the order. Upon hearing Jiang Ye's instructions, Yuanchun's face showed no change in expression, nor did he hesitate or respond directly with any mercy. By the way, send Master Yenkong over as well. Let Master Yenkong serve as the main general of this army. At that time, anyone who disobeys orders and refuses will be killed without mercy. If there are loyal talents available, you can also let Master Yenkong choose and cultivate them, and they can be used as subordinates in the future. As Yuanchun was about to leave, Jiang Ye thought for a moment and explained to him again. This Yenkong master is the top villain in the youth Huang Feihong. He has achieved a super first-class level in both internal and external cultivation of Shaolin's 36 rooms of martial arts. Among them, the most famous is the powerful Vajrapam, and the Luyun Feishio and Arhat Wuxiangshu. However, Master Yenkong is also a rapist and plunderer who engages in all kinds of evil among the people. But because Master Yenkong was rewarded to Jiang Ye by the system, he is 100% loyal to him. With Jiang Ye's constraints, Master Yenkong, although ruthless, has never done anything wrong again. Now Jiang Ye has asked Master Yenkong to manage an army composed of executed and exiled prisoners, which can only be said to be too appropriate. Master Yan Kong can also lead this army to completely unleash himself and shine on the battlefield. As for Jiang Ye's system, it is called the multi-child multi-blessing system. The system was activated on Jiang Ye's 18th birthday, when he had already fled from Da Liang to Da Wei and was on his way back to Kyoto. After the Duozi Duofu system was activated, the system directly rewarded Jiang Ye with a system gift package. The system gift package includes past life memories, golden kidneys, unforgettable talents, 10,000 cubic meters of portable space, Dong Tianbao's peak force template, and Yankong master summoning card. The awakening of past life memories can also be seen as a time travel experience for Jiang Ye. But more accurately, Jiang Ye is still a native of this world. It's just an extra lifetime of advanced memories. In addition, the golden kidney can allow Jiang Ye to give birth to the highest quality children tirelessly. And the ability to never forget at a glance, as the name suggests, gave Jiang Ye a super strong memory that no matter what it is, even books and articles will be engraved in his mind at a glance, and will not be forgotten. It is precisely because of his unforgettable ability that Jiang Ye was able to perfectly absorb all the memories of his past life. Like the various high-tech of the past life, the long and rich history of the past life. There have been countless dynastic changes and events in history, including Han Fu, Tang and Song poetry, Yuan Chu, Ming and Qin novels, and so on. Through memory, it has been discovered that, not to mention the high-tech individuals from past life memories. It can be said that the ancient dynasties in his past life memories are very similar to the dynasty and even the countries he lived in. However, the difference is the direction of history, which is different from many ancient poems that have been passed down in the past, and this world does not have them either. That is to say, he can fully rely on the timeless poems of his past life to shine in this world. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. System Rewards and Jiang Ye's Cultural Heritage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. And this is only one of the benefits brought to him in his past life memories. The historical deeds in his past life memories, as well as the deeds of historical figures and various famous sayings and phrases, have enabled him to understand and comprehend many things, and have also made great progress in strategy and city governance. In addition to these, 10,000 cubic meters of portable space allows him to access any item, and the time in the portable space is prohibited. That is to say, even if he puts items with expiration dates in his personal space, no matter how many years have passed, what he puts inside will still look like when he takes them out. In addition, the system will also reward some items of Jiang Ye, such as summoning cards, and directly distribute them to his personal space after the reward is completed, waiting for Jiang Ye to retrieve them. And Dong Tianbao's peak martial arts template gave him the physical strength of Dong Tianbao's peak period. It also gave him Dong Tianbao's lifelong learning, including his insights into martial arts and combat experience. And Master Yan Kong, there is no need to explain too much. These are all rewards in the system's big gift package. In addition to the rewards of the system's big gift package, after Jiang Ye returned to the imperial capital of Xinjiang and was conferred the title of Crown Prince, and met Jia Yuanchun. The system has released a task to Jiang Ye, which is to let him win Jia Yuanchun. And the reward for winning Jia Yuanchun is 50,000 Xuanjia Army Iron Cavalry summoning cards and Su Chu summoning cards. After he captured Jia Yuanchun, the system released several tasks to him in succession. These tasks are to win Wang Shifeng, with rewards such as Rain Hua Tian summoning card and 3,000 West Factory Eunuch summoning card. Take Li Wan, task rewards. Green Dragon summoning card of the Royal Guards, 3,000 Royal Guards summoning cards. Take Qin Keqing, task reward. Dugu Jiujian Dacheng realm. Take Li Qi, task reward. 9 Gate Commander Erdwa. Take Li Wen, task reward. Tianwen Sword. He has already completed these tasks for the system. Jia Yuanchun is now his virtuous consort, and the system rewards him with Xuanjia Army and Su Chu's summoning card. He is still lying in the system's personal space. Wang Shifeng is his noble concubine, and the system rewards him with Yuanchun and 3,000 eunuchs from Xichang, who have also been summoned by him. Now Yuanchun is his personal eunuch-in-chief, and the 3,000 eunuchs of Xichang have been arranged by him in a royal estate on the outskirts of Beijing. The original royal tenants of this imperial estate have also been transferred, and before he ascended the throne, the eunuch Sanqian Xichang also replaced some of the small eunuchs in the palace under the arrangement of Yuanchun. The eunuch of Xichang, who was transferred to the palace, was scattered and infiltrated into various parts of the palace by Yuanchun. The originally replaced eunuch was transferred to the imperial palace outside the palace, where the eunuch from Xichang was responsible for leading the training. In addition, the eunuchs of Xichang outside are constantly secretly gathering and training refugees from various places. In addition, the same goes for the 3,000 golden guards led by Qinlong of the royal guards. Jiang Ye deployed Qinlong and Jinui to the Bahang grassland 700 miles north of Xinjing city, adjacent to Bahang camp. After Jiang Ye stationed Qinlong with 3,000 Jini guards on Bashang, he also ordered Qinlong to disperse his troops to attract refugees from various places. Among them, young and strong individuals are absorbed into the West Factory, or the Jin Wei has trained and expanded the law enforcement personnel of the West Factory eunuchs and Jin Wei in the future. Secondly, all other refugees, regardless of gender or age, were trained as spies for the West Factory in the Royal Guards. It should be noted that the eunuchs of the West Factory and the Jin Wei who are rewarded by the system not only have strong physical abilities, but also are proficient in intelligence, exploration, torture, infiltration, and so on. So they trained spies and infiltrated the homes of important figures in Wei and even other countries, constantly monitoring all important figures, and finally transmitting the necessary intelligence to Jiang Ye. It can be imagined that this is such a huge intelligence organization. Moreover, both the West Factory and the Jin Wei were carried out simultaneously, with a dual approach. Now Jiang Ye has instructed the West Factory and the Jin Wei to gather refugees, and young and strong individuals are directly trained by the West Factory and the Jin Wei for comprehensive training. This is to ensure that the two factories and the Jin Wei have sufficient manpower when they reach various parts of the Great Wei in the early next year. And attracting refugees of all ages and genders to cultivate them as spies is also to achieve the most effective penetration. For example, having an elderly woman learn delivery, etiquette, embroidery, etc., and then arrange for her identity to be placed in all the houses where she is being monitored through various means. Who would have thought that an old woman could be a spy from the West Factory or the Royal Guards? Furthermore, due to the decline of Wei's national strength, heavy taxation and land consolidation, many people had no land to cultivate but had to bear various miscellaneous and heavy taxes. They had no choice but to leave their homes with their entire families and become refugees, seeking a way to survive. That is to say, the present-day Great Wei did not lack refugees. If you want to attract refugees, it's really catching a bunch of them. As for the refugees, you only need to give them a bite to eat, and you can ask them to do anything. Secondly, if you give them a way to survive, they will surely obey your orders and be loyal to you in handling your affairs. So absorbing refugees can not only meet the needs of Xichang and Jinui spies, but also effectively reduce costs. However, the most important thing is to be able to solve the livelihood of some refugees for the country without being discovered by the court. Because wherever refugees go, they will be regarded as hot potato by local authorities. Because local officials value political achievements, which are related to their future. If a large number of refugees appear within their jurisdiction and are seen by officials from the Ministry of Personnel, not only will they have no hope of promotion, even make a note on their resume. This will also make it increasingly difficult for them to advance to higher positions in the future, and even make it difficult for them to be promoted to local officials or the center of the court. Furthermore, the management of refugees is difficult, and they also carry pathogens. This will also cause great public security problems in the local area. So the disappearance of a large number of refugees not only does not attract the attention of local authorities. Instead, it will make the local government breathe a sigh of relief. Of course, if the refugees become rebels, as long as they are not formed and risen in their jurisdiction, it has nothing to do with them. At that time, the court will naturally send troops to encircle and suppress. In addition, refugees did not disappear for no reason, but rather disappeared through migration. With such traceable evidence, the local government is even less concerned. So the refugees who cannot afford to eat and live in the open air are seen as treasures in the eyes of the West Factory and the royal guards. Of course, if we follow Jiang Ye's wild vision and want to build two intelligence networks of such a large scale, the cost of money and food will inevitably be astronomical. It is precisely because of this Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Jiang Ye talks about the death penalty offenders. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Although there are spies lurking in various countries, no country has ever been able to hide spies in the homes of important figures in various countries or even in their own country. No country can achieve the goal of spreading spies throughout its own country in various states, prefectures, counties, and even towns. So, let alone such an intelligence network, Jiang Ye is only two in a row. However, since Jiang Ye dares to build such a huge intelligence network and has already built two at once, there is naturally a financial solution. Moreover, Jiang Ye's method is a win-win solution. Jiang Ye's solution to the intelligence and finance of the West Factory and the royal guards was not to let the wealthy, gentry, or even wealthy businessmen donate. After all, the wool comes from the sheep. Jiang Ye asked the powerful, gentry, and wealthy merchants to donate, and in the end, Jiang Ye had to give them more money and food. It's okay to have a big beam as the bottom for Jiang Ye, but without a big beam as the bottom for Jiang Ye can't turn out money and food on his own. Of course, since they are willing to offer such high profits to the wealthy and powerful, rather than owning them themselves. That is not only to solve the current financial and war needs of the court and attract these donations from the powerful, gentry, and wealthy merchants, but most importantly, Jiang Ye considered the long-standing weakness of the Great Wei. So the Wei needs a huge amount of money injected into circulation to stimulate its economy. It can be said that Jiang Ye's method is to achieve multiple goals with one move, interlocking in all aspects. And Jiang Ye's arrangement radiates to the entire Great Wei, so even if intelligent people continue to study Jiang Ye's profound meaning, they cannot decipher Jiang Ye's final layer of meaning. To get to the point, Jiang Ye's solution to the financial needs of the West Factory and the Qin Wei spies is to have them form countless chambers of commerce and shops. The chambers of commerce and shops established by Xichang and Jinui each have nothing to do with each other on the surface, but secretly they are closely connected to each other. In this way, the money needed by the spies of Xichang and Jinui has not only been well solved. And there will also be wealthy individuals coming out. Even the chambers of commerce and shops established by the West Factory and the Qin Wei can secretly communicate commercial intelligence with each other. When not using official power, it can better combat peers or engage in industry monopolies. And these chambers of commerce and shops can also serve as intelligence bases. This can not only better protect intelligence, but also transfer reports layer by layer. Of course, if these chambers of commerce and shops are subjected to official oppression, not to mention who the merchants who are enemies of the chambers of commerce or shops are, then the officials who suppress the West Factory and the royal guards will inevitably face crazy retaliation in front of the West Factory and the royal guards. At that time, even if the West Factory could not be like the Qin Wei, openly spreading throughout the Wei dynasty and serving as a major case, it would also supervise local officials for important cases. But with the presence of the Qin Wei, the chambers of commerce and shops in the West Factory have been suppressed by the officials, and the Qin Wei will definitely not sit idly by. At that time, no matter how internal conflicts may arise between the royal guards or the West factory, they will still assist each other and ensure their own interests when working together externally. Your Majesty, would this be too cruel? After Yu Huatian left, Jia Yuanchun couldn't help but ask Jiang Ye a question. Cruel. But they are already heinous criminals. Faced with Jia Yuanchun's inquiry, Jiang Ye raised his eyebrows and asked Jia Yuanchun a rhetorical question before answering. According to the tradition of the Great Wei Dynasty, when the new emperor ascended to the throne and granted amnesty to the world, he would pardon a group of death row inmates and release them from punishment. But I think this itself is unreasonable. Because this is a contempt for the fairness of the laws of the Great Wei Dynasty, and it is even more unjust to the victims. This also further fuels some people's criminal thoughts. Especially during the communication between the two emperors, there will be people who kill people due to personal grudges or desires, forcibly rob common women, rob people's lives, or even kidnap and sell children. Even if the children are disabled, they will wait for the court's pardon in the future. So I feel that since I started, there has been no special decree in the Great Wei Dynasty to pardon death row inmates or even other crimes. Since I have made a mistake and violated the law, then they should be punished accordingly, rather than letting them feel lucky. Moreover, as the country is currently employing people, it is somewhat wasteful to directly kill these death row inmates. So it's better to dispose of them as waste, or let them, who are already extremely vicious, vent their frustrations on the battlefield. Of course, I am not so cold-blooded. Before they die, I will offer them good wine and meat. These things are something they cannot eat in the prison, and they have never eaten them even before entering the prison. In addition, I have also said that there is no shortage of them who should be rewarded. They were awarded official positions for their bravery in killing enemies. After their death in battle, I will also let them be buried in glory as officials. If there are family members present, they can also go back to honor their ancestors after death. Isn't this better than letting them be executed for nothing by the court and their families mourn but feel helpless? Similarly, if I let them come back, their true nature will be hard to change, and there will be officials to protect them. Will there be more innocent people suffering at that time? So, this is not that I am ruthless, but that I want to urge a group of dying people to forgive their mistakes before they die. After speaking, Jiang Ye didn't wait for Jia Yuanchun to speak, so he continued to have a deeper intention towards Jia Yuanchun. It turns out that your Majesty has considered so comprehensively in this move. My concubine's eyelids are shallow. After listening, Jia Yuanchun couldn't help but suddenly get up. I just feel that Jiang Ye has considered everything very comprehensively. As Jiang Ye said, death row inmates and even exiles have committed heinous crimes. If he is easily pardoned and released, it not only loses the justice of the law, but also injustices the victims. At the same time, it also fosters the arrogance of some lawless individuals. And now that the country is in the midst of employing people, since these death row inmates who are already dying and waiting to die have a purpose, why not let them be loyal to the country and make up for the crimes they have committed? And the court is not without benefits for them. Not to mention the good wine and meat, it can be said that the imperial court will not shortage them with the rewards they deserve. Of course, if they can survive until the end, that is also their ability. The court will not take action to execute them anyway. With this in mind, Jia Yuanchun also understood that Jiang Ye had dispatched experts to command this army of executed criminals and had them choose their subordinates for appointment. And the selection and appointment of outstanding death row inmates may not only be a way to restrain evil and serve the court, but also completely nip the threat of death row inmates in the bud. Jiang Ye was not aware of Jia Yuanchun's thoughts, but smiled without speaking. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Women gather, new tasks reward big. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. If Jiang Ye had known Jia Yuanchun's idea of drawing analogies, he would probably have been surprised by Jia Yuanchun's intelligence. I wonder which sister's palace your majesty will check in tonight. After seeing that Jiang Ye was silent, Jia Yuanchun's mind began to liven up. Biting his lips, he asked Jiang Ye with a red cheek. Your sisters are pregnant. Which palace do you want me to go to? Jiang Ye couldn't help but roll his eyes at Jia Yuanchun upon hearing this. In my heart, I secretly admire the strength of the golden kidney. The women only enter the palace for about 2 months, but the time of pregnancy is the same. Of course, there must be differences in the exact timing of pregnancy among women. But the time it was detected was not much different. However, it is worth mentioning that the women get along very well. The harmonious relationship among the women was driven by Jiang Ye's intelligence. Part of the reason is that Jia Yuanchun and Wang Shifeng are cousins. Li Wan, Li Wen, and Li Qi are cousins. Although Qin Keqing has no relatives with his other daughters, his gentle and easy-going nature is similar to Jia Yuanchun, Li Wan, Li Wen, and Li Qi, giving the 4 daughters a natural sense of closeness to Qin Keqing. Moreover, Qin Keqing had no ulterior motives, so the relationship between the women naturally heated up quickly. In just 2 months, the relationship between the girls has become a good sisters who has nothing to say. Of course, under this premise, the women also have no ill intentions towards Qin Keqing, who is alone. It is worth mentioning that Wang Shifeng, who has a sharp and outgoing personality, gets along well with Qin Keqing, who is introverted. The relationship between Wang Shifeng and Qin Keqing is also the best. Many times, Wang Shifeng would take care of Qin Keqing like an older sister. This is also one of the important reasons why Qin Keqing was able to get along well with the women. Of course, it's easy for women to avoid seeking favor when interacting with each other, and that's naturally due to Jiang Ye's intelligence. Jia Yuanchun's already rosy cheeks couldn't help but become even more rosy as he listened to Jiang Ye's words. It's not that my concubines have a deep affection for your majesty. My concubines, after only being your majesty's women for a few days, I cannot serve your majesty anymore. A long farewell is better than a new marriage. Now that my concubines are pregnant with your majesty's dragon and phoenix daughters, your majesty does not want to go to their palace. This makes my concubines feel no injustice. Jia Yuanchun was so embarrassed that she couldn't speak, but a clear and pleasant voice sounded outside the door, full of vitality and cheerful with a teasing smile. Then he saw 5 women, Wang Shifeng, Li Wan, Li Wen, Li Qi, and Qin Keqing, dressed in bright phoenix crown and xia pei, walking in with a group of palace maids. Among the 6 of you, you are the one who can speak the most. When I have nothing to do during the day, I am not alone with you guys. But in the evening, you can't serve me. Can't you still let me guard you guys, who are stunning and can only watch? Jiang Ye couldn't help but smile as he watched Wang Shifeng and other women come over and said to them. As he spoke, Jiang Ye couldn't help but marvel at his own strength in his heart. I haven't had the pleasure of guarding 6 stunning beauties yet, and these 6 beauties have become pregnant one after another. However, although there were regrets, the 6 women also made Jiang Ye realize what autumn is all about. It also made Jiang Ye sneer at the idea of drinking from a spoonful of 3,000 weak waters. How about I appoint Ping'er as my concubine and let Ping'er serve me first? Jiang Ye's words left Wang Shifeng unsure of how to answer them in a short period of time. Watching Wang Shifeng fall into contemplation, it was obvious that he was contemplating refuting his own words. Jiang Ye refused to give Wang Shifeng too much opportunity to think and pursued him with victory. Okay, it's because your majesty has taken a liking to Ping'er. No wonder they don't want to walk around in the palace of my concubines. Listening to Jiang Ye's words, Ping'er, dressed in official attire and with a slender and exquisitely charming figure, blushed and half lowered her head. However, Wang Shifeng, who was pondering, seemed to have discovered a big secret and complained to Jiang Ye. At this moment, the eyes of others also turned to Ping'er. Li Wan and other women looked into Ping Er's eyes with profound meaning or thought to themselves. The other female officials and palace maids looked at Ping Er's face with envy. However, compared to the envy of other female officials or palace maids, Li Wan and other women, however, knew that Ping Er was afraid of achieving great success. Because the emperor said these words, it means that the emperor has shown interest in Ping Er. Since the emperor intends, are you afraid that the crow cannot become a phoenix? Although before entering the palace with Wang Shifeng, Ping Er was just a personal servant of Wang Shifeng. But the problem is that Wang Shifeng became Jiang Ye's consort, and Ping Er also followed Jigo to become a female official in the palace. With the status of a female official, one is qualified to be conferred the titles of a concubine or even a consort. Regardless of her background, Jia Yuanchun's current status as a concubine was also due to being conferred the title of a female official. Ding. Please confer the title of Ping Er to the host. Task reward. Great Merchant Wu Bingjian summoning card. Compared to the thoughts of the other women, Jiang Yi heard a systematic prompt sound in his mind. Listening to the system prompt, Jiang Yi was stunned. This Wu Bingjian may sound unfamiliar, but Jiang Yi is very familiar with Wu Bingjian's name. Wu Bingjian was the world's richest man during the Qin dynasty, and he was also the world's richest man during the industrial boom and Western plunder. Wu Bingjian's ability to become the richest man not only has excellent business acumen, but also excels in low-risk investment and foreign trade in various industries. In foreign trade, Wu Bingjian not only transformed his affiliated chambers of commerce into multinational corporations, but his most famous investments were in the railway, securities, and insurance businesses of beautiful country. From here, we can see Wu Bingjian's business foresight. You should know that Wu Bingjian was born in a Western country at that time and was also a very impressive businessman. However, Wu Bingjian came from the backward and secluded Qin dynasty. This shows how powerful Wu Bingjian can be. Moreover, the most important thing is that Wu Bingjian is the largest creditor of the East India Company. This East India Company can be said to be the largest company in the world at that time. Even the East India Company is not just a company, but rather, it is a tool for colonial expansion and trade monopoly, disguised as a company. And the boss behind the East India Company was not just the world hegemon at that time, Xiao Lidian. The East India Company was jointly established by European countries led by Xia Lidian and Xiaolan. However, Wu Bingjian was able to become the largest creditor of the East India Company, which shows how powerful Wu Bingjian is in business. If he were to obtain Wu Bingjian now, whether for commercial purposes in the West Factory and the Royal Guards, or to start a new business for Wu Bingjian, he would be the mastermind behind Wu Bingjian and provide him with the strongest backing and support. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Concubine Shunrong Ping Er, bestowed with residence in Zhongcui Palace. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. From any perspective, Wu Bingjian is an indispensable and important presence. An edict was issued to confer the title of Shunrong Consort on Ping Er and bestow her residence in Zhongcui Palace. Jiang Yi put away his excitement and ignored Wang Shifeng's dissatisfaction and protest. He directly issued an edict and conferred the title of Ping Er. Listening to Jiang Ye's instructions, a young eunuch in the heart-nourishing hall quickly stepped out and bowed to Jiang Yi, responding and leaving. It seems that we have another sisters. Sister Shunrong, Ping Er, and Sister Gi, Wang Shifeng, share the same feelings with sisters since childhood. Since I entered the palace, I have become familiar with our sisters. Now I'm lucky to be favored by your majesty, which is a little strange to our sisters. With the departure of the eunuch, Jia Yuanchun saw that no one was speaking, so he smiled and said. Her words seem to be happy because of the addition of a sisters. In fact, it is full of profound meaning. And the profound meaning in her words is to remind Wang Shifeng that although Ping'er is Wang Shifeng's maid, she has also served Wang Shifeng from childhood to adulthood. The relationship with Wang Shifeng can be described as the same sisters. When Ping'er was granted a concubine, it was to sublimate the sisters' relationship between them. So don't show dissatisfaction, because even if you are dissatisfied, this is a fact that cannot be changed at all. Even I will be divorced from you because of your dissatisfaction. It will be bad for you to become superficial sisters. Although Jia Yuanchun is also a weak-willed person, she is also a very intelligent person. And in recent years, I have also been accustomed to various open and secret struggles in the palace. Even due to the open and secret struggles in the palace, she felt mentally and physically exhausted like walking on thin ice. It is precisely because of this that among the few women, she understands the twists and turns inside the most. Although Wang Shifeng has a versatile heart, he is also more intelligent. But now Wang Shifeng has fewer years of experience than Jia Yuanchun. That is to say, Wang Shifeng is still not as good as Jia Yuanchun in this regard. That's right. It's fortunate for Shunrong to be favored by your majesty, and it's also fortunate for me. I apologize to your majesty on behalf of Sister Shunrong. Jia Yuanchun naturally understood the meaning behind Jia Yuanchun's words. However, she was stunned and didn't speak just now, not because she had any dissatisfaction with this matter. But it feels too sudden. Just like when she was recruited into the palace. Besides, she also felt a bit uneasy in her heart. Because after all, Ping'er is still a maid who has served her for more than 10 years. Although she and Ping'er are in love with sisters, the relationship between master and servant is still insurmountable. Now that Ping'er is suddenly on equal footing with herself, it's strange that she feels uncomfortable. But she is not foolish, just like the profound meaning in Jia Yuanchun's words. This is precisely when she should be happy for Ping'er, who has now been conferred the title of Empress by decree. What would Ping'er think if she showed her dissatisfaction? Even if you don't say it on the surface, there will still be bumps in your heart. If there are new concubines entering the palace in the future, and these new concubines are not compatible with them. At that time, Ping'er couldn't have said that she would still be estranged from them because of this matter. So that's really not beautiful. Ping'er, please accept the order and thank you. As Wang Shifeng saluted Jiang Ye, Ping'er also regained her senses from endless ecstasy. Suppressing the joy in his heart, he followed closely with kneeling and bowing to Jiang Ye to show gratitude. She never dared to aspire to become Jiang Ye's consort. But she has fantasized more than once about becoming a woman for Jiang Ye and receiving his blessings. Even once, she was willing. Because she, like Jia Yuanchun and other women, fell in love with Jiang Ye at first sight when they first met him at the beginning of their relationship. Jiang Ye, regardless of his status, satisfied all the perfect fantasies of a teenage girl about her partner with his handsome appearance, slender figure, and even his innate noble and stern demeanor. In addition, with his royal family identity, coupled with his status as Crown Prince and Prince of the Nine and Five, Jiang Ye has become the other half that countless young girls yearn for but dare not indulge in extravagance. Especially for these stunning girls who rarely see men in their deep boudoirs and only fantasize about spring, but have never had a crush or first love, they are most likely to fall in love with Jiang Ye at first sight. Now Jiang Ye has crowned her as his consort, not only fulfilling her daring and unspeakable wish. She even elevated her wish to a height she dared not aspire to, and fulfilled it for her. How could she not be so excited in her heart? However, while excited, Ping'er was also secretly moved by Wang Shifeng's words and actions. Let's get flat. I hope you will remember today's sister's feelings no matter what happens in the future. After Ping'er received the order to express gratitude, the sound of the system in Jiang Ye's mind rang, indicating that the task was completed and rewards were given. Listening to the rewards issued by the system, Jiang Ye felt joyful and spoke to Wang Shifeng and Ping'er. But while speaking, Jiang Ye couldn't help but think of Jia Lian peering at Ping'er in the original work, and Wang Shifeng was guarding Jia Lian like a thief. Even if you sleep at night, you should live with Ping'er. I'm afraid that one day, Ping'er might be succeeded by Jia Lian. Even if it's not just Ping'er, if Jia Lian finds any woman outside, Wang Shifeng is like a frying pan. For this reason, Wang Shifeng also received the title of a vinegar jar. At first, he was quite worried that Wang Shifeng wouldn't be able to get along with the other girls when it came to Wang Shifeng's jealousy. Gradually, Jiang Yi discovered from many things that although Wang Shifeng was a jealous person, but he is also a reasonable person. According to Jiang Ye's analysis, in the original work, Wang Shifeng is a thoroughly jealous person, mainly due to his strong personality and a person with great abilities. It can even be said that if Jia Lian didn't come from a good background, Wang Shifeng wouldn't even look up to him as a useless playboy who only knows how to find women. But it is Jia Lian's good family background. In addition, Jia Lian will inherit the title of Jia Shi and Ronggua Mansion in the future, which directly covers up Jia Lian's incompetence. But this only covers up, and does not mean that Wang Shifeng is unaware of Jia Lian's character and abilities. So in Wang Shifeng's heart, Jia Lian is more like her wife, while Wang Shifeng leans more towards her husband. How could Wang Shifeng, a dominant husband, tolerate his wife's infidelity when Jia Lian went to find another woman like this? That's why Wang Shifeng has such a strong jealousy towards Jia Lian. But now Wang Shifeng is being quickly climbed up by himself. After entering the palace, Wang Shifeng is becoming dominant, and he is also being suppressed by himself like a obedient little cat, obedient little daughter.In. Law. How could Wang Shifeng have such great jealousy? How dare you have such great jealousy? So whether Wang Shifeng is jealous or not depends on who is driving her. If you don't have the ability, even in a strong position, it's difficult to control Wang Shifeng. But you have the ability, just a slight anger can make Wang Shifeng become gentle. This is the fundamental difference. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.